Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time we're reviewing on the film All Dogs Go to Heaven. Now, as you know, All Dogs Go to Heaven was a 1989 animated musical fantasy adventure comedy drama film that was directed by Don Bluth and co-directed by Gary Goldman. And of course, Don Bluth was responsible for doing films like Secret of NIMH, An American Tail, Land Before Time, and would eventually do All Dogs Go to Heaven. Now, I remember I first watched this film back in 2002 or 3. I remember first watching the second one as a kid. So basically, in a way, I watched them in a sort of reversed order. And if you remember before, I also did review All Dogs Go to Heaven, A Christmas Carol one. So, of course, the premise of the film is meant to take place in 1939, where we see how Charlie and his friend Itchy escape the dog pound and, of course, make their way back to their casino riverboat. And of course tries to kind of restart up the business with his business partner Carface. Now, Carface's character is that he's maybe this more scheming, conniving, and kind of devious dog. And of course has plans to get rid of Charlie. And of course ends up axing Charlie off, where we see how Charlie finds a way out of heaven and gets back to Earth. And of course, we kind of see how Charlie eventually meets and befriends a young girl, Anne Marie, who has the ability to talk and understand animals and is being used by Carface to know about the next winners. And of course, this is the moment where you can kind of tell Charlie has good ambitions at first, but lets greed, goals, and personal matters get the better of him. And of course, this is the kind of the moment where you can tell Charlie has to pick what's important. Money and building an empire over doing the right thing. And I would say the movie has a bit of a message about finding what's more important, or basically not letting greed, ambition, and goals get the better of you. And I think we've all seen it before, where at first someone has good intentions, but later it becomes clear that they don't see the consequences of their actions. You can kind of tell Charlie means well, but doesn't see through his own mistakes. And I would say the film can go dark at places, but really tries to be too light-hearted too much. I know when you had the scene where Charlie has a dream where he ends up in hell, there's even longer content of it that was showed in other YouTube channels. And of course, when you kind of had Killer mentioning about a ray gun, you can kind of tell it's clear, and I do agree with Steve Reviews, that it was meant to be a machine gun. And I get it, you have to kind of change things to sort of fit the standards. And I would also say with All Dogs Go to Heaven is that the film feels a bit like a hit and miss. And I actually do agree with Gene Siskel. It kind of feels like the plot is weak, and there's moments where it wants to do things, but the story comes off as confusing at times, or not knowing what it wants to be at times. And this is a moment where I can agree with Gene Siskel on this. I would also say, when you've got the songs, they really do know how to kind of bring things to life. Like, when you've got the song like You Can't Keep a Good Dog Down, it's like saying, no one's going to stop me, I'm the best there is. And when you kind of got the song What's Mine Is Yours, it's more like saying, let's all share what we have. And I also feel when you got the song Let's Make Music Together, it feels like it's enforced with the singing alligator, And I think they just threw it in to make another light-hearted moment, which clearly didn't need to. And I think it's also a shame as well that Judith Barcy was tragically murdered after completion of this film. And I think she was quite a good actress in Land Before Time and All Dogs Go to Heaven. And I would say, to me at least, All Dogs Go to Heaven is a bit of a hit and miss, but you can tell they still try to be entertaining despite its confusing mess and plot. And I think this was meant to be the starting point of Don Bluth's downfall into filmmaking a bit. So I think this movie deserves a thumbs down. I think it's a good film, but really there was a lot of confusing messes. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.